A cargo ferry loads in the Norwegian port of Bergen, a familiar scene in ports around the North Sea 24 hours a day. Sea Cargo's new ship, the Nordia, is bound for the Netherlands on a short sea crossing that's taking up to 250 truck trailers off the roads. It's a direct response to a European Union call to shift cargo from wheel to keel.
The EU has put it on the agenda. They want to move cargo to sea. There is new, tougher restrictions on driving and rest rules for the drivers. There is a shortage of drivers already within the EU and within Norway, which obviously makes people think new. But the biggest growth now comes from the structural change, the fact that people are not using or pulling their trailers on wheels anymore, but putting them on ships.
The short sea shipping network in the North Sea is growing rapidly, reducing energy consumption, carbon emissions and pollution. It's about improving the accessibility of coastal regions and enhancing regional development while increasing quality of life. Values at the heart of a transnational EU project called NMC, the Northern Maritime Corridor, involving 20 regions bordering the North Sea and Europe's northern periphery, including Russia.
The NMC project as a totality serves all the regions from Belgium, Netherlands, UK and so on, all the way up to Norway, to Faroe Islands, to even Iceland were involved, up to northern Norway and northwest Russia in the Barents region. So even though it's outside the North Sea, the Northern Maritime Corridor actually doesn't have the potential without looking at not only the North Sea but also the northern periphery, which is the term for that region in the north.
High above the Arctic Circle, where the borders of Norway, Sweden and Finland meet with Russia, lies the frigid mineral, gas and oil-rich Barents Sea. The Northern Maritime Corridor hugs the Norwegian coastline here, terminating at the northwest Russian ports of Murmansk, Archangel and Naryan Mar. It promises to become a major new shipping conduit to and from Europe, an idea supported by the Norwegian government as well as the European Union. The Norwegian Ministry of Fisheries and Coastal Affairs is based in Oslo and has been leading Norway's push to develop the NMC.
We have prepared a management plan concerning the Barents Sea area, and it has been presented for our parliament and approved. And it covers all the activities within this area. It means fishing activities, oil and gas production, shipping activities and environmental affairs in more general. So I think it's again important that you are aware and open-minded when you discuss what should be the framework for all sort of use of the ocean and the coastal waters. So that's what we have done in the northern part of Norway, and I must admit I find it a very fruitful work with our neighbors in Russia, that we in common had found good routing which has been approved by the international community.
The NMC already carries millions of tons of bulk exports from northwest Russia each year. Coal, mineral fertilizer and oil products are among the most important. Norwegian coast guards take control of the ships as they cross the international border near the island of Vardø, navigating down a newly created sea lane 30 nautical miles off the coast. Now there are ambitious plans to develop the NMC further as a major route for general cargo in both directions, between Europe, Russia and beyond. Murmansk is the largest Russian city within the Arctic Circle, with a population of over 300,000. It's grown wealthy on exports and used to be a major fishing port. Trucks from all over Europe still load frozen fish here, but the trade is less important to the economy today. What makes Murmansk so attractive as an intermodal port is that it's connected to Russia's railway network, which stretches from here 16,000 kilometers to the Pacific Ocean in the east and almost 4,000 kilometers south to the Black Sea. Despite being north of the Arctic Circle, Murmansk is on a deep fjord which remains ice-free throughout the winter, allowing even the biggest ships to dock year-round. Murmansk is also the base for a fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers, the Atomflot, designed to smash a path through the Arctic ice, creating a year-round access route to the Far East and North America. Peter Prince is the head of the Industries and Transport Department for the Murmansk region.
Здесь, вы прекрасно об этом знаете, базируется атомный ледокольный флот. И база ремонтно-технологическая по его обслуживанию и по ремонту. Это тоже немаловажно, чтобы использовать транзит из Америки, Канады, из Европы на страны юго-восточного региона. Это Япония, Китай, Корея. То, конечно, к сожалению, вот с учетом того, что в зимний период времени все-таки северные моря у нас еще замерзают, то без ледокольного флота в зимний период времени нам еще не обойтись. Это вот одно из таких основных условий, почему мы считаем Мурманск именно центром или начальной точкой транзита по Северному морскому пути.
The commercial importance of a sea route using Arctic waters is best seen from space. The journey from the Far East to Europe via Murmansk or Archangel is 4,000 nautical miles and 10 days shorter than transiting via the Suez Canal. The east coast of the USA is also reached faster than via the Panama Canal. Even the US west coast is closer to Europe using the Arctic Northern Sea Route and the Northern Maritime Corridor combined. As the world's ports and shipping lanes become more and more congested, the dream of taking the polar route is becoming an economic reality. Nikolai Voloshinov is the Deputy General Director of Murmansk Sea Commercial Port.
Это абсолютно не мечта, потому что, если вы посмотрите на карту, Мурманск находится как раз вот в середине этого пути. И он может быть связующим звеном между восточноазиатским регионом, между Америкой и между Европой. Это совсем не мечта, это то, на что мы рассчитываем. Мы очень заинтересованы в развитии такого коридора. И я считаю, что можно было бы начать прямо сейчас, попробовать отправить хотя бы один пустой контейнер, посмотреть время прохождения, посмотреть, какие будут тарифы. И конечная задача – организовать такую линию.
The Norwegian government has set up a specialist team, the Norwegian Barents Secretariat, to progress cross-border relations and projects. Daniel Fietov is the Russia coordinator and advisor.
Но для нас важно развивать именно этот коридор из Европы, Великобритании вдоль Норвежского побережья в порты, я бы сказал, крайнего северо-запада России. То есть хотим открыть Европе северные ворота в Россию.
But the long-term plans go much further than increasing trade along the Northern Maritime Sea Corridor. The Norwegian government is keen to progress the even bolder idea of a long-distance rail connection from the Pacific Far East to Europe via Russia.
We expect that the northern part of Norway and the northwestern part of Russia will be alternative areas for new routing systems, and we are working already on that. For example, we have a good dialogue with the partners to a corridor coming from western part of China, crossing Russia using the railway system.
The plan is for an upgraded rail link all the way from China to Archangel and Murmansk, where proposed intermodal hubs would transfer the freight to ships for onward journeys to Europe and the Atlantic. The other route would transport freight through Scandinavia to Norway's western port of Narvik.
В настоящий момент существуют все элементы Мурманского транспортного узла. Это порт, это железная дорога, это нефтяные терминалы, но все они работают разобщенно, без координации. И вот эта компания, Мурманский транспортный узел, управляющая компания, она должна всех объединить в единый, скажем, в единый кулак. И после этого мы надеемся, что будет просто гигантский скачок в развитии Мурманского транспортного узла. И особенно мы рассчитываем на развитие западного берега.
Back in southwest Norway, Bergen's sister city Stavanger also wants to become a hub on the new transport map. It's building a completely new harbour dedicated to fast turnaround vessels, connecting road and rail networks across the North Sea. And it's not just Norwegian ports that stand to gain from a change in transport patterns. There are plans to expand the Groningen ports of Eemshaven and Delfzijl on the north coast of the Netherlands to cope with the new fast ferries.
We're all involved in the global market nowadays, and there are also signs that, for instance, from China, from the Far East, vessels are not going to sail around Spain, but enter, for instance, in the southern part of Italy. And if you can rail from Italy to the northern part of the European continent, and then again fit this into a vessel entering the south of Norway, that will be a perfect connection.
Part funded by the European Union through the North Sea programme, the Northern Maritime Corridor project has helped develop the concept of a major new shipping route from Russia and the Far East to continental Europe via the Barents Sea. It's also highlighted the massive structural changes that are happening in European and international freight movements. Fast short-sea shipping routes with rapid turnarounds serving intermodal freight terminals and high-speed railways are poised to revolutionise transport patterns, improving the accessibility and competitiveness of coastal regions, as well as reducing pollution. For Bergen, Stavanger, the Groningen ports and the ports of the Barents Sea, it's a winning formula.
The idea of trying to move cargo away from road and on to the sea, and for that sake also the rail, has been a dominating aim by the EU. But in addition to that shift of cargo from road to sea, also to serve the peripheral region is a major aim. So it's twofolded.
В рамках проекта «Северный морской коридор», что этот проект, он должен быть как составной частью нашего проекта, российского проекта, который называется «Северный морской путь». И эти два проекта, они должны дополнять друг друга. «Северный морской коридор» плюс «Северный морской путь» – это нормальная, хорошая, новая логистическая транспортная схема. Она будет учитывать интересы и Европы, и Скандинавии, и Канады, и Америки, и плюс страны Азиатского, Тихоокеанского региона. Вот наше такое видение, наша такая позиция. И эту позицию поддерживает и наш губернатор Мурманской области Юрий Алексеевич Евдокимов.
Контактов у нас между Россией и Норвегией на севере много, они постоянно развиваются. Я бы сказал, что на севере между Норвегией и Россией исторически хорошие отношения, и надеемся эти отношения сохранить и в будущем.
As the world's economies become more enmeshed, regions like the North Sea have no choice but to consider the bigger picture. The dividend for rural and peripheral communities is that the shift from wheel to keel on a global scale could bring the world's trade to their doorstep.